Good evening, dear listener. As the fire crackles beside us tonight and shadows dance gently on the walls, I invite you to lean in close, because this story isn't just about fate. It's about standing for what's right when no one else will. It's about miracles hidden inside tragedies, and one choice that changed a city forever. What would you do if you saw injustice and no one else stepped in? What if that one moment of bravery exposed something far bigger, something divine? In the summer of 2021, in a small Kentucky town named Ashbridge, lived a 28-year-old elementary school janitor named Marcus. He didn't speak much, wore the same worn-out boots every day, read scripture during his lunch breaks. The students called him Mr. M and loved how he slipped extra paper towels under their desks when they spilled juice or cried quietly. He was invisible to most adults, but to the kids, he was a quiet guardian. No one knew much about him, except that he'd served as a combat medic overseas. After coming back from Iraq in 2013, something changed in him. He didn't like loud places, he didn't watch the news. And every Friday, he walked 3 miles to drop off groceries on the porch of an elderly woman who never answered the door. That woman, Miss Laverne, his 7th grade teacher. One Monday morning in October, Marcus was cleaning the stairwell when he overheard something. 2 5th graders whispering behind a locker door. "He can't breathe again," one said. "Don't tell anyone. They'll blame us." Marcus froze. He turned the corner gently. "What's going on?" The boys looked terrified. "It's not us. It's Max. He keeps turning red. When coach isn't looking, they make him run more laps than anyone." Marcus crouched down. "Who's they?" One kid whispered, "Coach Hammond and Mr. Clay from the office. They don't like Max." Marcus felt his chest tighten. "What do you mean they don't like him?" The kid glanced around. "They said his mom causes trouble, that he's a problem, but Max doesn't even talk." Marcus's jaw clenched. Max Washington was the only biracial student in the grade. His mother, Tara, had recently filed a complaint about racial slurs in the school's curriculum. It hadn't gone over well. Marcus had watched from the background as staff whispered, as hallway duty officers gave Max detentions for loitering when he was just waiting for the late bus. But he hadn't said anything. Until now. That afternoon, Marcus walked into the gym. Max was there, alone, running laps, his face red, his breath ragged. Coach Hammond stood by the bleachers, arms crossed. Mr. Clay from the office sat in a folding chair, clipboard in hand, sipping coffee. Marcus watched, counted. 10 laps, 11, 12. Max stumbled, put his hands on his knees, tried to catch his breath. Coach barked, "One more." Marcus stepped forward. "That's enough," he said firmly. Coach turned. "Excuse me?" "I said that's enough." Mr. Clay stood up. "Marcus, this doesn't concern you." Marcus walked to Max and placed a gentle hand on his back. "Go get water, son." Max looked up at him like he was seeing something holy. then nodded and jogged off. Coach walked forward, voice low and sharp. "You just cost yourself your job." Marcus stared straight into his eyes. "Then it's a fair trade." By the next morning, the entire school had heard what happened. Some whispered in admiration, others rolled their eyes, but most stayed silent. Marcus returned to work like nothing had happened. He vacuumed the teacher's lounge, mopped the cafeteria, and replaced the flickering light above the library door. But he knew something was coming. At 3:12 p.m., he was summoned to the front office. Mr. Clay sat behind the desk, flanked by Principal Teresa Owens and a school board liaison Marcus had never seen before. "We appreciate your service, Marcus," Ms. Owens began, carefully avoiding his eyes. "But due to protocol violations and interference in disciplinary procedures, we're placing you on administrative leave pending investigation." Marcus said nothing. He simply stood up, nodded, and walked out. No argument, no raised voice, no anger. But as he passed the kindergarten hallway, a little voice called out, "Mr. M." It was Lily, always shy, always clumsy. She ran up to him, holding a drawing of a man with big boots standing in front of a boy with the sun over his head. "It's you," she said. He knelt down, gently taking the drawing. Tears stung his eyes. "Thank you, Lily. It's beautiful." The next day, Tara Washington, Max's mother, showed up at the school with a folder full of documentation. She had pictures, complaints, emails, and now a witness. She went to the local paper. She contacted a civil rights organization. She started a petition. It got 68 signatures in 2 days. But what really changed everything was the security footage. An anonymous staff member leaked gym surveillance footage to a local reporter. The video showed Max gasping for air, Coach Hammond yelling, Mr. Clay sipping coffee, and then Marcus stepping in. The story went viral. Janitor steps in to protect boy, gets suspended. News vans rolled into Ashbridge. Hashtags trended. Talk shows debated whether what happened was disciplinary or discriminatory. Marcus never made a statement, but people started showing up on his front porch. Strangers brought casseroles. Mothers brought thank you cards. A group of students held up signs in front of the school that read, "Be like Marcus." Still, Marcus stayed quiet. He spent his days reading the Psalms, praying, visiting Miss Laverne, now bedridden. When she asked why he didn't fight back, he smiled gently. "I didn't do it to be seen. I did it because it was right." But something even bigger was coming, and it wasn't going to be gentle. By early November, Ashbridge was a town divided. Some said Marcus was a hero. Others claimed he disrupted order. Local opinion split like lightning through dry branches. The school board scheduled a public hearing to determine whether Marcus's termination would be made permanent. The hearing was set for November 12th, inside the Ashbridge Community Auditorium. Word spread fast. Hundreds showed up: news crews, protesters, parents, teachers, students. Max sat in the second row, his mother gripping his hand. He wore a faded blue hoodie and kept his head down. Marcus entered quietly and took a seat in the back, beside Miss Laverne, frail, wrapped in blankets, wheeled in by a retired bus driver who whispered, "I wasn't gonna let her miss this." The hearing was tense. Mr. Clay called Marcus a janitor who overstepped. Coach Hammond claimed Max had acted up, and the laps were disciplinary. Tara spoke next. Her voice trembled, but she stood firm. "My son was targeted, and the only adult who did something was sitting in the back of this room." Gasps echoed. Some people applauded. Then came the final turn. The board invited public comments. One by one, children began to speak. A sixth grader with autism stepped up. "Mr. M always kept the hallway quiet for me when I had bad days." A shy girl whispered, "He helped me find my lost necklace. He said, 'If it matters to you, it matters to me.'" Even the cafeteria lady shared, "He came early to clean ovens no one else would touch. And he prayed over every table." The board sat stunned. Then someone unexpected rose. Ethan, Coach Hammond's own nephew. "I've seen my uncle treat kids unfairly," he said. "But Mr. Marcus never treated anyone like less. Ever. Dot." The board took a recess. People whispered. Max leaned into his mom. "Will Mr. M come back?" She smiled. "We'll see, baby." Marcus sat alone in the hallway, eyes closed. He whispered, "God, I didn't come here to make noise. But if this is your will, I won't walk away." After 30 minutes, the board returned. Principal Owens read from a typed statement, "Effective immediately, Marcus Reed is reinstated with full honors. In addition, the Ashbridge School District will launch an internal review of disciplinary practices and training." The room erupted in applause. Max stood. Marcus stood. They met in the aisle. No words. Just an embrace. The next morning, someone spray painted the school fence. "Do what's right, even if you're mopping floors." Marcus never found out who wrote it, but he smiled every time he passed it. Winter settled in over Ashbridge, coating sidewalks in frost and rooftops in quiet. Marcus returned to work with little fanfare. No speech, no grand entrance. He simply walked in, nodded to the front office staff, and grabbed his mop. But something had shifted. Teachers greeted him by name now, students gave him drawings, and the local newspaper started calling him Ashbridge's quiet guardian. 2 weeks before Christmas, Marcus noticed a flyer on the bulletin board. Winter formal. Volunteers needed. He smiled. That night, he stayed late, stringing lights across the gym ceiling, polishing the floors until they gleamed. He remembered every dance he'd missed in high school. Not because he wasn't invited, but because he was working 2 jobs to help his mother, who battled lupus. On the night of the formal, Max arrived wearing a suit, and the same blue hoodie slung over one arm. Marcus greeted him at the door. "You clean up good," he said. Max grinned. "My mom says I owe you a dance." Marcus laughed. "You better not step on my toes." They both chuckled. But as the music played and students danced, a sudden scream cut through the laughter. Outside, a car had crashed into the school's electrical transformer. Sparks flew, smoke billowed. Then, darkness. Power out, screams, chaos. A fire started near the gym entrance. Panic spread. Marcus didn't hesitate. He grabbed a flashlight and shouted, "Everyone stay calm, this way." He formed a human chain, linking students hand in hand, guiding them through the smoke-filled hallway. One girl fainted. He carried her. A wheelchair got stuck. He lifted it. He made 5 trips, in and out. On the 6th, someone screamed, "Max! He's still inside." Marcus didn't pause. He ran back into the dark gym. Flames were climbing the curtain. Max was crouched under the bleachers, coughing. Marcus reached him, wrapped him in the blue hoodie, and carried him out as the fire alarms wailed. They made it out, barely. Marcus collapsed outside, lungs burning, clutching Max's hand. Then everything went black. Marcus awoke 2 days later in Ashbridge General Hospital. His throat felt like sandpaper. His ribs ached with every breath. Bandages wrapped his arms, and a breathing tube lay nearby on standby. The nurse whispered, "You're a miracle." Max had visited every day, sat beside the bed, read him comic books and scripture, left a drawing of the blue hoodie with flames in the background and the words, "My hero, always." Outside the room, the town buzzed. News spread of the fire, of the janitor who ran into the flames, of the boy he saved. Local headlines read, "The custodian who carried a town." National stations picked it up. One anchor called it a modern parable of bravery, humility, and grace. At the school board meeting that month, Principal Owens choked up as she spoke. "We don't need more heroes with capes. We need more with mops, boots, and quiet hearts." The mayor declared December 22nd, Marcus Reed Day. But Marcus didn't care for any of it. He just wanted to walk again. Physical therapy was slow. One morning, as the therapist wheeled him outside for sun, Marcus whispered, "I used to carry people out of explosions. Now I can't carry my own coffee." The therapist smiled. "Maybe God's carrying you now." Marcus looked away, blinking back tears. "Maybe I've needed that all along." On New Year's Eve, Max and Tara visited again. Max placed a small box in Marcus's hand. Inside was a medal. Not a military one, just a homemade one made of tin and yarn. The inscription read, "You made me feel seen. I'll never forget that." Later that night, alone, Marcus opened his Bible to Isaiah 58. "Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Then Your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard." He smiled and whispered, "Let it be so." Spring came early to Ashbridge in 2022. By March, the school garden was blooming. Birds chirped from the roof gutters, and laughter returned to the hallways. And one morning, quietly, without fanfare, Marcus walked back through the school doors. No cane, no wheelchair, just his boots and his old janitor's keys, jingling softly at his side. When the students saw him, the halls erupted. They ran. They hugged him. Someone played music from their phone. Even Principal Owens dabbed at her eyes. Marcus smiled, lifted his hand, and said only, "Let's get to class." That afternoon, he found Max sitting on the back steps, eating lunch. The same blue hoodie still wrapped around his waist. "You still wear that old thing?" Marcus asked. Max grinned. "It smells like courage." They both laughed. Then Max grew quiet. "Mr. M?" "Yeah?" "I want to be like you." Marcus looked at him, eyes full of quiet knowing. "Then, be better than me." In 2025, Max graduated high school with honors. In his valedictorian speech, he paused halfway and looked into the crowd. "People say heroes wear badges or suits. Mine wore boots and carried a mop, but what he really carried was all of us." The auditorium stood in thunderous applause. Marcus didn't cry. Not until he got home. So now, dear listener, as our fire dims and the room grows still, let me leave you with this. You may never be famous. You may never be rich. But if you stand up when it matters, if you protect those who can't protect themselves, if you walk in quiet faith and fierce compassion, you will change lives. Marcus didn't need a platform. He didn't ask for attention. He just said yes when it mattered. And the echo of that choice still rings in Ashbridge today. If the story touched your heart and you would like to listen to more like it, you know where to find us.